Welcome to the very first episode of Think Outside Yourself. I'm your host, Brendan Chalucci, and with me is my good friend, Adam Holland. Happy to have you here, Adam. How you doing today?
Man, I'm good. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to be the first guest on the show. It's my pleasure. Guys, if you don't know, Brendan Chalucci is one of the greatest individuals I know. Bright thinker, bright kid, incredible future ahead of him, but he's always one kid, always trying to expand his voice, trying to express himself and, kind of elevate and use his platform to elevate others. So thank you for having me, man.
I really appreciate the kind words. And before we dive into it, I just want to go over the podcast a little bit, what its intentions are. Think Outside Yourself is a podcast where we talk about real things with real ones. I want to encourage those who are listening to come in with an open mind. For there will be things that you enjoy hearing and maybe some you don't. It's an imperfect world. We can't please everybody, but the goal is to dive into topics that mean something to the guests and especially to the listeners as well, so that we can all have an enjoyable experience and hopefully take something away from this that changes the perspectives of everyone's lives going forward. So a little background on my boy Adam here. We graduated high school together, known each other for about 10 years now. He was a two-sport athlete in high school, exceptional athlete in both baseball and basketball. He went to Rutgers for baseball and also transferred over to RCGC, balled out there. He's a 4.0 student, and he is also a leader in the church that he got me incorporated into, which I'm very grateful for. And just recently, actually, which is what we're going to dive into, is he had an internship at CBS. And in that internship, at the very end, he got to do a little bit of, he had a little screen time. And it was really awesome. And I just want to know, what did they have you do there at CBS? What was the things that you were going about on your, day-to-day life?
Well, that introduction was great. Appreciate that for gassing me up a little. But yeah, this summer, I had the blessing to be a news intern at CBS 3 Philly for 10 weeks. Ran from June 21st to roughly August 18th, I would say. And every day, I came in obviously with, I came in like I know nothing, because at the end of the day, I really knew nothing. I just wanted to be a sponge, absorb as much as possible, learn as much as possible. So on the day-to-day, I took care of, phone calls, crazy people coming in, calling, hey, my email is being hacked by Russia. We should make a story about this. I would hang up on them, obviously, because it's not story-worthy. Or we would get calls where, hey, I heard gunshots on 54th and, Marcus or that. So, I would write it down, hand it over to our editors, like, hey, this guy just called, said he heard this, that, and the third. We would get emails all the time, people trying to, either do promotions or, partnerships. So I would take emails. Okay, got it. Hand it over to the editors. Hey, we got this one. This one's good. This guy's talking about chemtrails. So mind you.
You got all the tea. You're passing it all around and stuff like that. That's awesome.
Then we graduated from doing that to running the scripts to the anchors. So, printing out scripts for them, kind of reading their scripts, running out their scripts. It was really great because we got to be able to talk to them and kind of be face-to-face and had a lot of one-on-one treatment. I had the pleasure of speaking with Don Bell and Yuki Washington, two of their anchors there, and they kind of just took me under their wing and really just taught me a lot of life lessons as well as a lot of lessons in the industry. From running their scripts to kind of sitting down and actually working, going over scripts, working on what writing works and what writing doesn't work, how to approach the most amount of people possible. So it was a great experience, man. Great experience.
That's awesome to hear. And you talked about being a sponge and the lessons you learned. What are some of the most valuable lessons you took from that going into your life now?
Definitely from Don Bell. He's a sports director at CBS. It's funny, my mom always I remind her of Don, but Don was kind of like a big brother mentor figure to me. And Don was he's really swaggy. He's young. He's very cultured. He has a rhythm to him. He's kind of like an aura to him that once he walks in, everybody has it. And he was like, man, I've been doing this since day one. You don't need to change who you are just because you're on camera. Obviously, I got to put a suit and tie on, maybe change my voice and some of the dialogue. Yeah. But I don't need to change myself. And with that, he kind of just hey, man, if you really want to do this, you got to be okay with failure. Luckily, we played baseball, so failure is very, very common. So it's cool.
Just how it is.
Getting reps, being in front of the camera, messing up on a word, skipping a line, messing up here and there. it was able to help me kind of like, all right, like, I'm comfortable with messing up because, it only takes one. Once I find that one, I'm good to go. So that's kind of how it really was about.
That's awesome to hear. Like, especially like experiencing failure through all, like, it just shows that through all walks of life, you're going to experience failure. And it's obviously, it's not about like going through that failure. It's what do you do after that? How do you come back from it? And
Exactly.
I wanted to talk about that failure because I've always been curious about this. Like, so back when we were in like middle school and stuff like that, when we had like that popcorn reading, I knew I would always be nervous when it was coming up to me. I'd be like reading before. I got to know, is it hard to read off a teleprompter? Do you ever like kind of get like backed up in it and get like a little nervous about catching up with the words?
You would think reading off of a humongous screen and board in front of you,
Yeah.
it's really not, because like you said, you got to make sure that you're not speaking a million miles a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The words are huge, but at the same time, it's like, wow, these words are really big. I could still mess up on the word cat. I can mess up on the word. It's like, it's like, it's really not hard, honestly. Like, it's really not hard. Like, I luckily, I'm able to read off a teleprompter. I enjoy speaking in front of a camera. I still do get shy. I still get kind of nervous. My voice will break here and there, but like those reps, reps over and over again, you kind of get used to it.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of like the fact that you really do enjoy it, do you think it's something that you might want to pursue in your future? I know you have like the job with Perfect Game and all, and which we'll talk about later, but like you have a lot of opportunities in other areas as well. Is this something that you might want to pursue?
It's always been my dream job, to be honest. Growing up, me and Evan would always sit there and watch Stephen A. Smith, would watch Stuart Scott, would watch, now obviously watch Shannon Sharp and, Skip and all them debates, stuff like that. And I can name off any single basketball number or baseball number you could think of. I can name off the last 12 MVPs and the NBA. I can name off, all the stuff like that. So, like, always been something that I always wanted to do. And now I've been able to kind of get a little experience of it. Like, I definitely could see myself in it. It's a tough industry for sure to get into. It's hard to get your foot in the door. But at the same time, like, it's something I'm very passionate about. And I feel as though I can use my voice, use my experiences, use my, kind of my lifestyle, my personality to kind of, one, bring out real media, and two, kind of show the importance that black media still exists. Like, black media is important.
Absolutely. I think that's really awesome because, like, you touched on the fact about, like, you always have to be your genuine self. And like, we live kind of in a day and age, especially when it comes to television and stuff, where a lot of stuff is fake. Like, you hear about, like, all the stuff that goes on with, like, Fox News and stuff like that. It's not, it's just kind of like propaganda. So the fact that you really want to be your genuine self and voice that to the public is something that I think will really not only benefit you, but benefit the people that you're reaching out to through that television. That's really cool to hear. And to finish it off with the CBS, I got to know, if you had 3 people, like, in the world to interview, like just any top 3, who would they be?
It's a good question, man. Good question. Number 1, no doubt about it, LeBron James.
I knew that was coming. You're the biggest LeBron fan in the world right here, bro.
You already know what that man is. I pull up my phone right now. You're gonna see who my background is. I'm not gonna pull it up actually. I'm a fan of it. But yeah, LeBron James for sure. My biggest sports fan ever. Well, I'm a fan of. Number 2 would be Denzel Washington. Denzel's my favorite actor. I think he's the greatest actor of all time.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's got a lot of life experiences that, really could obviously, you see interviews of him now and he's just unbelievable. Like, everybody's starstruck when he walks into a room. So
yeah,
I'd love to speak to him. And number three, if I had to pick one, I might get a lot of flack for this. I might get a lot of people calling me a clout chaser for this. But I think right now I would have to go with Drake.
You have to go Drake, bro.
I think I would have to. I mean, he's the boy, bro. But you already know what it is. But he's definitely the boy. And I also just feel as though, like, he's been a pinnacle in our lives for, the last decade and some change.
Bro,
and
we grew up with him. We
literally grew up with him. Like, and the fact that he's been able to really transform himself and maintain a level of consistency in the game and kind of just impact everybody, whether it's vocally, musically, financially, whatever it is. Like, he's kind of just been that guy. So I think it'd be really dope to interview him.
I really like that too, because you have 3 different, like, forms of art
Right.
Like in those three answers, you got LeBron. When he comes to playing basketball, that's art the way he does it. Denzel, he's so versatile, like in the way he acts. He
Right.
even did a couple like graduation speeches
Yeah.
that I've seen online, and you can just tell that he's so intelligent.
Right.
And then, bro, we grew up from watching Drake on Degrassi till like listening to his music for the last like what 15 years.
No, literally, like
Yeah. So, kind of talking about like Denzel movies, it's a good kind of way to transition. I want to talk to something that I know we're both passionate about, and I think it'll really bring up some interesting conversation, and that's Marvel. We
Yeah,
I got to kick it off with something that I'm so excited about. What do you think about the new Black Panther movie coming out? How do you think it's going to be? Are you hyped for it?
Well, first off, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, man.
Oh, of course.
But I'm a Marvel addict, man. I love Marvel. I love the comics. I love it all. I read it all. But I'm very excited for this movie. I think this movie is going to be have a shift in what's been going on in Marvel. It's kind of been a lackluster year, I would say.
Yeah.
You think about the grand scheme of things, but I do believe Black Panther Wakanda Forever is going to kind of bring people back and let people know, like, hey, we're still Marvel, we're still the MCU.
Exactly.
And I think that they have a couple arcs they can go into in terms of obviously a new Black Panther, bringing in Namor Mutant, bringing in just the kind of grand scheme of things. I think they have a great base right now, and then 2023 we can just keep taking off.
I think it's definitely been something that people have been skeptical about going into the new Marvel since they like obviously Tony Stark passed away, Captain America is gone, like all those guys. So everybody's kind of been a little more skeptical about where they're going now. But honestly, I think even with like you said, rest in peace Chadwick Boseman, but even without him, I think this is going to be a pretty stellar movie.
I mean, for sure. And I was having a conversation with obviously my brother, and we were like, so sometimes people doubt and kind of get a little, what's the word I'm looking for? You kind of get a little hesitant because they've been great for so long, and then when they kind of do some things that really doesn't keep up to the standard, that's kind of thing with the world. Everybody wants to keep up to the standard. Either going to be standard or be better. So obviously we get movies like Thor: Love and Thunder, which is not good. I mean, Doctor Strange didn't perform to the capability that everybody wanted it to be, but I think that they understand what the people want, and I think that they were going to give us that.
Yeah, bro, it's like kind of like the guys you talked about, LeBron, Drake. It's like there's a standard that you need to meet, and if you don't meet it, people are going to be upset. But that's part of what greatness is. You got to meet that standard. Exactly. So you talked about how important Marvel is in your life, like the comics, all that. What is it? When did it start being so special to you? And what about it makes it so special to you?
Great question. I mentioned my brother a lot. Me, Evan, and Caleb, my cousin, we first saw the movie Blade with Wesley Snipes when I was in, I would say, probably second or third grade. Probably shouldn't be watching that movie, as an 8, 9, 10-year-old, a lot of cursing, a lot of exotic women, stuff like that. I'm going to keep it at that. But, but first saw that movie, and I was like, wow, this is really dope to see. One, a black male character as a superhero. He was a vampire, none the least, but still superhero. And two, it was like, wow, it's kind of creative how they could think about, people having enhanced abilities. Then I went to fourth grade, and Iron Man came out in 2008. Came out in May 2008, and I was
one of the greats.
But I was in fourth grade, and I saw Tony Stark with the TV phone that slid up this way, kind of made like a T. I saw it. So I told my parents I wanted that phone. Got that phone for my birthday the following year, and from that point on, I really was kind of hooked. I was like, what if I got a phone because that phone was super dope? But two, honestly, at that point, I saw it in theaters. I was hooked. I was like, this is so interesting. This is so dope. At the same time, Transformers was coming out, so I was really getting to the sci-fi, kind of the imaginative stuff, really kind of jumping out at me. And then obviously it's expanded over the last 12, 13 years where, they kind of relate to you on a human level, as well as being, these super powered, super individual fake characters.
Yeah.
But they've kind of been wow, you can see yourself as honestly achieving and being anything. And at this point now, I'm just a nerd, so I love it.
Yeah, like you said, it shows that even the biggest people, the most powerful creatures, they all have their own problems and stuff like that. It kind of brings it down to earth a little bit. And No, I'm right there with you. I didn't like have that appreciation for it. I love the movies when they came out, but I didn't have that large appreciation for it until they started like bringing them all into the same universe with like
Yeah.
Avengers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's when I was like, oh, I'm locked in on this. It is so creative how they did that and just brought everyone together.
It's funny you say that because my older brothers actually like collected comics, and they tell me this story all the time that when they're moving from house to house. My dad had like a bunch of the comics in collections, right, and just throw them out because he was like, oh, like what? Like they're comic books. Like, who cares about that? Obviously, hindsight now, them things probably would run us a couple bands. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, even then, like they always loved it, and then once I got able to like actually understand what was going on, the different plots and different storylines, started reading comics, started reading some of the backstories, and I just really like, wow, like they are so like the thing about this in like 1960, and now put it on screen in 2022 is like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we got to go to the ultimate debate, and I know you know what's coming now, and you're gonna get mad at it. I'm sorry, but it's Iron Man versus Cap. Who was right? Who was right?
Oh my goodness! You really want to ask this question?
I need you to put your opinion out there.
Well, I'm gonna keep my opinion PG. But in hindsight, like this, in hindsight, I think we take it back to Civil War. I think Cap definitely. I think me personally, I probably would have sided with Cap solely because I don't think, given the responsibility and the powers and the obligation to what this like the capabilities I have to save everybody, I wouldn't be able to sideline myself. I'm that way now, where like if I feel I see somebody in need, or I feel like my peoples are in trouble, or people need me, like I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to make sure they're taken care of. So I would have to side of them. However, I hate Captain America. I hate Falcon. Hate all of them. But at that point, I would have sided them. But I'm Team Iron Man. Iron Man's he's the leader. He saved them all multiple times. He was the man with the plan every single time, through and through. All Captain America did was jump Iron Man. And yeah, I hate him. So I'm leaving it at that.
We're gonna leave it there. All right. You wanna get hit with some trivia questions real quick?
Why not, bro? What's up? Talk to me.
All right, we got. I have easy, medium, and hard for you. So I did a little research on this stuff, and I know how smart you are with this stuff. So I made the hard ones really hard. So,
nah, you about to mess up.
Where's the Soul Stone found in Infinity War?
The Soul Stone is found in Vormir when Gamora admits it to Thanos when Nebula is being tortured.
Oh, he had to show off a little bit. He had to flex a little bit. All right. And second easy question: what do Captain America and Sam say to each other throughout the series?
On your left.
On your left.
Okay, they talk a lot. Sounds like this could be a trick one. I don't know, but yeah, got you.
All right. On to the medium questions. Who voices Rocket?
Bradley Cooper.
Good.
GA alum, baby. Philly.
Yeah.
Come on.
Philly boy. All right. Can you name all 6 Infinity Stones?
Yes, we have the Soul Stone. We have the Power Stone. We have the Mind Stone. Space Stone. Reality Stone. And the... I say power.
You got power.
I said power?
Yeah, you said power.
Mind, reality, time, space.
Time. That was the one you didn't say.
Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, got you.
All right. Now, this is where we're getting a little hard. Your memory got to come in here. All right, ready?
I'm sweating. All right.
Who was the first to disappear after Thanos snapped his finger?
That's a wild one. That's a wild one. Snaps. And then I don't think this is right. That's crazy too. That's a really good one. Wow. He snaps. Everybody's looking around. It wasn't this guy. I know it wasn't this guy, but I just remember it because I was so happy that he snapped away. But it was Bucky.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was so happy he snapped away. So I think that's one.
You were like, yeah,
I remember.
He can go. I'm all right.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was
very impressive.
I still don't get that one.
All right. Second one. Last question. Tony Stark, first Iron Man. He comes back from being captured and all. He's all banged up, got the sling on and stuff like that. He's got to go to a press conference. They want to take him to the hospital. What is the thing he needs when he comes off? He's like, no, I don't need to go to the hospital. He
said, I need an American cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Then he goes to a press conference, makes everybody sit down and goes,
yeah.
Informal. Exactly. Yes. That's my
Great
man.
job. Adam Holland, a Marvel nerd. Now you all know.
Yeah, those are great questions, by the way. Great questions.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've worked hard. All right. Now we got a little food chain for you. We got so 1-on-1. Who's winning? We got Captain America versus Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Iron Man? All right.
Gotcha.
Iron Man versus Spider-Man.
Oof. I feel as though these are really tough, and the edge is really going to Iron Man solely because of obviously his suit and his ability to track fight patterns. He's kind of like a super soldier in this suit in a way. It's not really indestructible, but like it kind of takes away a lot of the beating that he receives. So I'll go Iron Man. Spider-Man, by my favorite.
Also, a lot more experience. Like
Very much.
He's fought a lot more people, a lot more like advanced people as well, aliens, all that stuff.
Exactly.
All right, Iron Man, Black Panther.
Now, if we're gonna comic, but I'm gonna go Black Panther. Gotta go. Never mind, I can't say that loud. But I'm gonna go Black Panther. They don't say it. I love Iron Man, but now I'm gonna go Black Panther because I think Black Panther is just as intelligent as Iron Man is, just as rich with him. So if you give him amount of time, he can kind of obviously buy just as much as Tony Stark can do. At the same time, that vibranium suit is still really still knows what vibranium can do.
Yeah, so, you can't really you almost can't even really penetrate it with the weapons that Tony has too, because it just kind of takes the energy from it. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Black Panther.
All right. Black Panther or Hulk?
Well,
we're not going wussy Hulk.
Yeah.
Later, we're going OG Hulk.
I'm gonna go Hulk. Hulk was always my very first next to Spider-Man favorite superhero. But you get Hulk angry. I mean, it's really not much anything can do.
Yeah,
that's really kind of how it goes. Like Black Panther, you're smart, you got it all, but one good punch, it's lights out. Lights out. That's all.
All right, going on. Hulk versus Thor. Little Ragnarok action.
Hey man, that boy Thor got them. He got them. Man, Thor got that thing on him. But I really think that I do think Hulk wins because, like I said, obviously we can go movie, we can go comic. I think Hulk wins solely because Hulk he's able to withstand so much, and he only gets angrier and he only gets more stronger, and I feel like he really has no limit to tap out. What I'm saying? Obviously Thor can strike him with lightning. He got Mjolnir. Now he puts Mjolnir on his chest.
Yeah,
we might be in a different ballgame. You know what I'm saying? But I think I'm gonna go Hulk. But Thor did win Ragnarok fight. They did.
Yeah. All right. Now we're adding some villains in. Now we got Hulk versus Hela.
Hulk versus Hela. I'm going Hulk.
You're going Hulk? Wow. Wow.
I am. And I can't really tell you the reason why I'm going Hulk, but Hela lady, she's actually
Hela be throwing knives out of nowhere though.
She's a goddess of death. I ain't gonna lie, she's a goddess of death, but
crazy.
I also think that, like I said, I just don't know. There's not much that can really stop this man. He's really different. He's different.
He fought her ginormous wolf in that movie too. So
crazy.
And it was like an even fight with that.
That's all I'm gonna say.
That thing was enormous.
I'm gonna go.
Hulk or Doctor Strange?
This is very tough. I'm gonna have to go Doctor Strange solely because
I agree.
I think he's one of the toughest characters to beat. Obviously, he's smarter than you, and he has some magic. It's kind of not really much you can do if somebody can put you in a time loop for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's
like put you in a time loop, put you in a different dimension. He can put you really do anything, obviously, and he's only getting stronger. He's only learning more. Obviously, in the movies, we're seeing that he's only he's entering new realms, new realities, new dimensions, new
absolutely
all that. But also, he has the time stone. He has all these other relics and artifacts that we as movie viewers haven't seen. But reading the comics, those things are they're ancient for a reason because unbelievable. But I go Doctor Strange. Hulk, you gotta lose. All
right. Doctor Strange, Loki.
Wow. These are some tough ones. Two of my favorite characters. I mean, Loki. I say Doctor Strange because I think Loki would get over ambitious and kind of too confident and would allow his guard to slip. Where Doctor Strange is very
he fights a little with emotion a little too much.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is very tactical and very hey, I have to get to the next step. And like I said, they have very similar powers. And Loki's obviously a little more devious and a little more evil. But I do think if you told Doctor Strange, hey, man, I need you to have to kill somebody right now, I think he would do it like that. So I go Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange.
All right, we got three more. Doctor Strange versus Wanda.
God, bro. Yo, that boy Strange. I'm going to go Wanda. Wanda clearing. Wanda's clearing.
Wanda's crazy, bro. People underrate her so much. She's so strong.
Wanda is taking everybody out. It's dangerous for Wanda. It's dangerous for everybody.
You know what I still think about all the time is when what's it called? When in Endgame, when Wanda literally was kind of beating Thanos by herself.
Hey, Thanos! Thanos had to call for help. He had to call.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, start shooting the little titty guns down here."
Yo, he had to call for all the help needed because she was ready to rip him piece by piece, like literally limb from limb. But yeah, Wanda, she's different. She's different.
So next one, Wanda versus Thanos. You got Wanda? Wanda. All right, Wanda. And we got a little girl battle now. Wanda versus Miss Marvel. Last one.
Wanda versus Miss Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
As in Kamala Khan or Carol Danvers or Maria Rambeau. Which one? Which Miss Marvel we talking about? Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, or Anywho, regardless of what it is, Wanda clearing everybody. She's clearing all of them.
We'll go Captain Marvel.
That's a great fight because Captain Marvel, she's something different.
She's OD, bro.
If we're going off the way they got their powers in the movies, they technically got their slightly different, but they both got them from Infinity Stones in the movie. Captain Marvel got hers from the Space Stone, and Wanda's got her from the Mind Stone. So obviously a little bit, not really got them for it, but different. But I probably would go Wanda. Wanda is doing some damage to anybody that steps in front of her.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about enough Marvel. Let's move on to another passion that we both have. Let's get on to baseball, the important stuff. All right. So, Adam, if for you listeners, in addition to the job he had over the summer with CBS, he also works for Perfect Game. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it is a large company that goes nationwide, hosting tournaments for all teams to come play in, hosting showcases. It's really great for kids to get in front of college scouts, get in front of pro scouts, and also just have a great time competing with others. So what I want to know is, for you, on top of what I've said, what are the most beneficial aspects for Perfect Game showcases and tournaments? And also, what age do you think kids should start becoming invested in that?
That's great you say that because I get asked this question a lot. Truthfully, get asked this question a lot, and there's a bunch of baseball scouting services out there. I'm not going to name names, but I do think Perfect Game is the best. Me and you played in many Perfect Game tournaments, went to showcases, performed really well. But like you said, the best of the best go to Perfect Game. You can look at any single player in the MLB. You can pick off random MLB players, pick off random coaches, random scouts.
Yeah.
They go to Perfect Game events. They go to Perfect Game tournaments, showcases. They rep the Perfect Game emblem. It's been around since 2007. So a lot of great, good, and average MLB players have gone through Perfect Game in the last.
Oh, absolutely. You can and I think it's the generation that we grew up watching was the first generation for that.
Right.
You look up almost just about, I would a rough guess around 75% of the MLB probably has some sort of Perfect Game profile.
Literally. I mean, there's like a stat. I don't really know off the top of my head because that's just like wild to know. But like, yeah, literally, like you said, there's a very strong percentage, more than half of the MLB is played in the perfect game event. But I think it's very beneficial for the kids. Like you said, I think they compete against the top athletes in the world. I mean, you're competing against some kids that are from the DR, some kids from Puerto Rico, kids from Hawaii. You know, I'm from New Jersey. I was competing against kids from California, Texas, and Iowa. Like, I didn't know anybody from any of those states until until baseball brought me in front of them. And at the same time, you know, I didn't go to my first showcase until I was probably going into my sophomore year of high school. We had a couple team showcases where a couple coaches would come, you know, lower level schools would come. It's like, you know, I'm not knocking any of them by any means, you know. Go where you're going to play. That's number one. If any baseball kids watching, any sports kids watching, go where you're going to play. But I think, you know, 15 is where you start thinking like, okay, like I got about 4 years until I have to go to college. What am I doing now to kind of push me to the standard where I need to be, where the coaches are going to see me, where I'm competing at the highest level? Where am I putting myself at the highest level? Am I going to the gym? Am I working out? Am I doing the extra days in the gym? Am I long tossing? Am I running hill sprints? Am I doing base running drills? Am I in the cage taking 100 swings a day? You know, stuff like that goes unnoticed. You know, it's not glorified over the launch angle and the 400-foot home runs, but that's how kids get seen. And, you know, Perfect Game, we throw on thousands of tournaments a summer, thousands of tournaments a fall, thousands of tournaments and showcases all throughout the year where you can be seen at these events. So, I mean, I would say, when I tell kids now, parents ask me, I'm like, hey, man, like, let them be a freshman in high school, let them do their thing, you know. Going to that sophomore year, make that switch. Start getting to the gym, start eating right, talk to the right people, working out with the right people, and then, you know, going into your sophomore year, you know, get a showcase under your belt, let the coaches see. And then, you know, I did too. I went to one my sophomore year and one my senior year. Big impressions, big improvements. You know, coaches went to one little one and then had a lot of coaches another one. And, you know, it works for everybody. So, you know, everybody's different. But
you're hitting it on the nose there because, like, I'll be training kids on the off season, and there are these like 10 to 12-year-old kids, and their parents will come up to me and be like, should we get them this showcase to that showcase? I'm like, go play Little League.
Yeah, bro.
Like, enjoy being a kid, bro. We're grown-ups now. We got responsibilities and all this stuff. Like, let them be a kid for as long as they can.
Exactly. And I tell them all the time, like, man, like, I go back, I think about it now. One of the benefits, honestly, outside of a scouting perspective, like, it allows me to be a kid again. Like, watching these kids grow up, watching these kids, you know, have fun. And, you know, there's a lot of really good players I watch. Like, I have the privilege of coaching. I coach probably twice a year. But I coach a national team that we send down every year. We just started the last year of the All-State games. Basically, it's like the All-American game before every age group leading up to, you know, 18. So right now, last year I went down to Georgia in November. Had a 10U team. We came in third out of 16 teams. Unbelievable event. I'm going down this year. I have 11U and a 12U team. I think I'm going to win it all, honestly. You know me, I'm a dog. So I got my squad, but I think we're going to win it all. But it's just great seeing them compete, man, them having fun. Because you got to think, man, they're 11, 12, 13 years old. You're going to see these kids and go against these kids for the next 5, 6 years. And you're going to see these kids until you're going to commit and be like, wow, I remember when Brendan Chalucci committed. I played with him at Jupiter when I was 15 years old. Like, you'll remember those things. Like, those experiences will never go away. Like, I have experiences from when I was 12, 13, going to Cooperstown, when I was 16.
Yeah.
Like, I talk to those guys all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I get goosebumps thinking about it because Perfect Game allowed me to, like, meet these kids, like, you know, have these experiences, and, you know, create lifelong friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are, like, the biggest changes you see between, like, kids these days and compared to when we were their age?
Oh man, I hope none of the kids that I coach or see on the weekend see this, but these kids are soft, man. I can't even chat, bro. They're soft. I mean, it's put it this way, you know. Obviously, different time, different era. You know, like I remember having to wear the same pair of baseball pants 3 practices in a row with the dirt stains on them, and you know, like I didn't care. I was playing ball. I don't care about playing ball. I remember falling down on the street, falling down the curb, scratch, cut, bleeding. I'm going to practice. I'm going to play. Like, I didn't care. Like, stay on the bench. I'm perfectly fine. Like, okay, like, I'm really fine. Like, you know, but in reality, you know, now a lot of the stuff, social media is so big. Like, it was big when we were 12 and 13, but, I mean, it's humongous now. Like, kids,
oh my
God. TikTok all day, Snapchat all day, taking videos of their swings, videos of them throwing videos in. I'm just like, dude, like, I don't need all that. Like, I need to know, like, can you bunt? Can you throw strikes? Can you throw a curveball for a strike? Like,
Really, bro.
can you steal a base? Like, like stuff like that where, obviously some things have become, lost in translation. A lot of the basics of baseball I feel like are being lost. And it sucks because, MLB baseball is so good. It's so, so good and everything to watch. But you see guys throwing 100 and guys at 450. Not everybody can do that. That's just the fact. Not everybody can do that. So kids, try to mimic their favorite stars as you should, but correctly, appropriate. So, yeah.
I completely understand that. And going back to like when we were their age and stuff compared to now, like how do you think baseball has developed you into who you are today? Because obviously we've had so many lessons, like my story, I know your story, but I want everybody else to hear how did you become the Adam Holland you are today from baseball?
Man, baseball has brought me honestly everything. I owe majority of my life to baseball. Outside of being a Christian, being a black man, baseball has been one of the biggest identities of my existence. Sports in general, but baseball for sure. I mean, a lot of my closest friends came from baseball. Brendan Chalucci. I mean, I wouldn't have met Brendan Chalucci if I didn't go to a Penn Charter baseball camp when I was in 8th grade. I don't know if our circles would have meshed. We obviously would have played baseball together, but I don't know if we would have been that close if, baseball wasn't the root of why we met. Baseball, I mean, it's so many life lessons. I mean, 3 out of 10 times, you hear it all saying, you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times. And only in one sport can you fail 7 out of 10 times and be deemed great or a Hall of Famer or the best at what you do. I mean, in reality, just the constant torture of putting myself through going 0 for 4 and striking out 4 times, having terrible nights and terrible weekends, early mornings, late nights. But baseball has shaped me and crafted me to the man I am today, and I'm forever grateful. I mean, everything from discipline, getting up early, from a work ethic, from sacrificing, from, being a leader standpoint, as well as not being the leader, being overlooked, as well as, finding ways to be seen, in all ways, Obviously, we're at the age now where we're looking for jobs, we're looking for opportunities. We got to find ways to be seen. I got to find ways to, hey, how am I going to make this employer think that I'm the right guy? Baseball taught me that. Baseball taught me that, hey, I'm not 6'4", I'm not 220, I'm not a guy who throws 100 or hits baseball around the feet. I'm a little guy who can run fast, swing the bat pretty well, and have a pretty good glove. How can I maximize all my tools that I have to showcase my coach, coworker, employee, whatever it may be? I'm the guy for the job. And I mean, baseball is just, countless friends, countless memories. Dude, it's crazy. I go on for days, but that's truly how I'm forever grateful.
Absolutely, man. And you hit it on the nose. It's like there's so many things that you learn from baseball that you take into your life. Like it essentially, baseball partially prepares you for the world going into it. Now, there was something you mentioned that I really wanted to hit on as well. So you talked about one of the big identities that you have is being a black man. And one thing that's almost it's been kind of a little bit of a roller coaster as the identity of black men in baseball. Yeah. And you see guys like Tim Anderson, Jazz Chisholm, they're bringing a different level of swagger and flair to the game, kind of continuing the legacy of guys like Ken Griffey Jr. Are you excited about the direction the game is going in? I mean, I know this last draft, I believe 4 of the first 6 draft picks were black kids, and it's really awesome to see. And what would you say to firstly, we'll go on this. What are you excited about? The direction the game is headed in?
I'm definitely excited about the game direction. And I mean, if you think about mostly all the predominant sports in the country or in the world, the big 3, which say baseball, basketball, football. For the time being, a lot of them were predominantly white males playing the sport, which obviously is no problem. It's how the country was. That's how it shaped up to be. And obviously over the last probably, would say, 30 years has been a drastic, and I mean drastic change in all 3 sports. Baseball in particular, I mean, it's a Spanish Dominican run sport with a good amount of influx of black players coming in. It's beautiful to see. Obviously, growing up I was always one of maybe the only one black kid on my team. Every team I ever went to in high school, I was one of four total in my 4 years there. I mean, it's always been something like, wow, like there's not a lot of us in baseball. And now, obviously, being around Perfect Games, seeing a bunch of young black kids, young Spanish kids, young brown and black kids, it's beautiful to see because, one, like, not because they're good, just because they enjoy the game of baseball. They enjoy, doing not what everybody wants you to do, which is football and basketball. So, like, it's dope to see. And now after MLB, I mean, like you said, the guys, you name it. I mean, it's so exciting to watch. Like, it's funny you say that because, like, I always say I love the White Sox. Like, I love the White Sox.
That's your team.
I love the White Sox because I say it as a joke, but I really do mean it. I mean, they're like one of the most ethnic teams in the league. I mean, you look at down their roster. I mean, there's like one or two white guys on their team, and the rest of the team is the starting lineup and offensively, brown, black, and Spanish. I mean, that's mostly and they keep it fun. They're very laid back. They're very emotional, very passionate, very exciting. Like I love watching them play because it's like you don't see a lot of us out there doing it, and they're doing it at the highest level, having fun and not caring about what anyone thinks. I think baseball's going in the right direction for sure.
It's almost kind of like African Americans are starting to like be able to express their culture more. Like if you think about, I know there's a weird comparison, but I thought about this is like when Allen Iverson came into the game in like the early 2000s, and like the like his mom's like braiding his hair while he's on the bench, stuff like that, and you start to like get a instance of like seeing into black culture a little bit more, and it's really awesome to see. And I honestly agree. I would really love to see it start to come into baseball more. Right. So another question I have for you is, what would you say to those who are like more old school, those that say like you shouldn't flip your bat, you shouldn't like scream when you strike someone out, stuff like that. You shouldn't have that flair and that swagger that guys like that bring to the game.
Mm-hmm. It's funny when I have this conversation all the time with the old heads that I always talk about, whatever sport it is. But I'm like, people realize, like, have they ever watched the game from like 1960, 70, or 80, or even 90s? Like guys like Nolan Ryan, guys like Roger Clemens, and guys of that nature, and guys like even people from basketball, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and like Dominique Wilkins, and like Darryl Dawkins, and like football, like like we can go latest day, like. These dudes were animals. Like, they were wild animals out there on the field, on the court, on the ball field. Like, they were dogs. They yelled, they screamed, they fought, they tackled. They did more, honestly. Now there's more regulations now. But when I ever had this conversation before, I'm like, man, like, at the end of the day, why does that get under your skin so much? Like, and I've always been a proponent of, like, if you're going to do it, one, back it up. Two, don't allow me to do it. I'll never forget. I was in Georgia. When I was 15, I was 15 in Georgia, and we were playing a team from Texas, all-white team, only black on the team, batting leadoff, and it was chippy beforehand because we played him before. It was just chippy, and like I was a very emotional player. Like I was definitely more of I'm gonna have my plays and do the talking, but if you like poke me, like I'm a talk, and you know me now, like I'll talk all day long if you really want me to.
I know.
But then I hit a double, lead the game off. I got on second base, and I was just real hyped. It was a playoff game, so I like throwing my hands up, I'm doing the sign, or I'm like, let's go, whatever. I'm like killing the mound, like flips me off, and I'm like, buddy, I had a double off you. I can care less what you do to me right now. I don't care. And like at the same time, it's like he came back next to bat, like struck me out, and he was all hype, and I'm like, you struck me out, like you beat me this time, like you beat me, like I beat you beat me, like simple as that. And I always feel as though like that's how it is. Like I was just better than you at this moment. I'm gonna let you know it too. I'm gonna let you know it. Like I'm not all for the rah-rah. I'm all for the excessive nonsense. Like I tell my kids now in baseball, like I hate bat flips. I love pimp jobs. I hate bat flips. I'll pimp job you so bad, like you're gonna be like, wow, like he just really admired that. But I'm not gonna fling my bat up in the air, like that's just not me. That's not who I never was that guy. Something like that. But at the same time, it's like, dude, who cares? Like who cares? Like have some fun. Like let's have some fun.
That's so important. I think like the biggest part of it is you need to be authentic to who you are. You can't try to be try to be someone else or try and hide the emotions that you feel just to make others happy. Because if you try and like mask who you are as a player, whether that is somebody who's calm, cool, and collected, or someone that's out there letting people know that, hey, I'm that man. Yeah. But if you're not going to be who you are out there, you're not going to succeed. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, for sure. Literally, like for sure. Like at the end of the day, like if I'm better than you, I don't need to tell you that I'm better than you, but like if you force my hand, I will let you know I'm better than you at whatever I'm doing. Like, like simple as that. But, like I said, obviously there's a line between, disrespect and, being confident, something like that. And obviously, if you cross that line, something might happen, it happens. But at the end of the day, man, I'm just all for, you people want people want to watch baseball. People like, we're always like, baseball's dead. How can we attract more fans? These guys are doing it. The Juan Sotos, the Ronald Acuña, the Tim Andersons, they're doing it. They're attracting fans. The Fernando Tatis's, he's an idiot, but, when he was playing, they were attracting fans. They were attracting young fans that they come to pay money, go to the ballparks and buy these merchandise and buy these gear and stuff like that. They want to be like these guys because, they're having fun in a dead man's game. So.
Absolutely. And my buddy Nick York, he's one of my teammates. He said this: when we're out there playing ball, we're a circus. We're circus animals. We are put in a ring to perform, and if we don't perform well and entertain people, we're sent somewhere else. And that's just kind of how it is. So if you're gonna do it, create some entertainment for the people. I don't know. That's just how I think about it. But
that's funny.
I want to dive a little deeper into. I want to dive a little deeper into the African American culture when it comes to sports, and I want to talk about Colin Kaepernick a little bit because that was something that we've had many conversations about. I want to know: do you remember the first reaction to Colin sitting for the anthem, and how did you feel about the controversy that surrounded it right after?
Great question. I do remember this, and I remember it because we had a lot of things in school about it when we were in high school. But I think if people actually really do research and really, Google is very free. There's a lot of credible and reputable sources that you can go out and read about. I tell people all the time, Google is free for you, for your own knowledge. So don't just go off of what you see on Twitter or whatever fake news you get. Obviously now I'm trying to be in the media, something I try to get real raw research. But I remember my personal feelings towards it. I did question it because at the time I was like, why do that? At the same time, I understood why he was doing it. And then people forget that he got so much outrage for that he actually spoke with multiple backgrounds of people and was trying
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, he spoke with it was. I was just about to bring this up.
Still will, but I'm pretty sure either spoke to military members / also civil rights activists and try to get to the bottom of it. And then he said, "Hey, if you can you find another way to protest?" And he said, "Okay, yes," which led to him taking the knee, which I felt was no problem.
People don't know that.
I felt no problem whatsoever when I was I don't see what the problem is. He's still out there. He's still, this flag that y'all worship, which if you really want to do research, I want people to go out and do research on the national anthem and go do research on the flag. Promise you, it's not what you think it is, but that's a different story for a different day. But I say, I don't see what, I really don't see what the issue was. Me personally, I never really saw what the issue was, why people were have so much outrage over it. We do stuff, we love screaming, America, we love screaming, respect the flag, we do that. First off, you're not supposed to wave an American flag, I'm pretty sure in front of your house. I'm pretty sure that's a legitimate thing. American flags don't be used as propaganda or supposed to be used as the core or something like that. It's literally, you can read that up. People wave it every freaking day. People have it on the back of their cars. People do all stuff like that. So yeah, you're just an idiot. You just tell me you just don't like it. Say you don't like it. Don't try to make up any other excuse. But my initial response to that was, why is that? And once I came out, I said, hey, I'm all for it. Peaceful protesting, message getting across, which the message definitely got across for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was going back to what you were saying. I did some research on that. He spoke to Green Beret Nate Boyer. So not just a military member, a Green Beret.
And he averaged
what that guy said was, so the first time Colin protested, he sat on the bench.
Yes.
And Nate Boyer was saying, you should find a way to make it more respectful, which, like you said, he started kneeling. Why? Because when you kneel for fallen soldiers. You kneel when you pray. You kneel in front of graves. like
Like
to honor people, to honor people. And I like, that's something that I think it's so important for people to know, because like we talked about with news and stuff like that, people just like to stir the pot. They
all the
like
time.
to let people know, they like to create controversy, create havoc. When
It's
in reality, if you do your research, it's not as big a deal as it seems.
it's
Oh,
bro, bro,
Adam,
I,
you got me going.
I told you I was sweating earlier. Like, I'm really sweating now because like you just gotta be telling me. It's just really like, oh my people, y'all. People really get, oh my god. But yeah, like you said, man, like, I'll never forget. Quick story. I know we're not like really pressed on time, but quick story. I was at Rutgers and we were playing again. I think we were playing Michigan. Cold day out. And when I played sports, even now, before I leave my house, anywhere I go, I pray. And Chooch, I constantly before, pray before you play. That was always the thing that my mom and my dad and my brother did before every single game growing up. Whatever it was, a game, baseball game, basketball game, test, swim test, whatever it was, pray before you play. That was always my
Every
thing.
game, pray before you play.
I'm on the line, and we had a national anthem out because it was like a Friday game at home. So we're home. We had a national anthem out, and it's during this time where like Kaepernick was still in the media. So it was about 2019. So Kaepernick was still in the media, and the national anthem ends. I go down in a squat to pray. Umpire walks by me and goes, "Hey, you better get up right now." I stayed in my squat, stayed in my crouch, prayed. Mind you, like warm up pitches are being thrown. I'm still on the line. Said my prayer. Looked at the umpire. I said, "Don't ever disrespect me while I'm praying." I said, "Secondly, I don't know who you are. I don't care who you are. Don't speak to me."
I love that.
Then my coach like brushed me to the side, and I'm like, "Nah, like you're not gonna respect my religion. That's something I take very, very seriously. Like I'm gonna pray. I pray everywhere I go. I'll pray anywhere, anytime, any place. I don't care.
Yeah.
Makes you comfortable. I don't care what kind of idea you think I'm getting. I'm praying." I was like, "So don't interrupt me out of my prayer." I said, "Secondly, don't expect me when you're completely wrong." So I told my coach that. But yeah, I'll never forget that. And I was like, yo, that was just so crazy at that time because I'm like, yo, like, I can't even go down to pray without thinking that I'm trying to disrespect the flag or kneel in protest. I'm like, yeah, shut up, dude.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too, because another question I had for you was, are there any times in sports where the color of your skin has affected the way opponents or fans or even teammates have treated you?
Man, I think if you ask in reality, I think really ask like any black person that has played a predominantly white sport, they've probably heard some things. I mean, I've definitely heard some things, definitely been, what's the word I'm looking for? Judged or looked at. I'm not going to say that I've been, like people have, had straight, discriminatory actions against me or even super prejudiced towards me, but I definitely have heard my fair share of slurs, my fair share of comments, stereotyping comments, whether it's on the court or on the field. But
Yeah.
I never allowed that stuff to really get to me. I've always been a pretty tough-skinned kid, even as a young kid. I mean, I had an incident as a young kid, and I came home. Like, I would never show my emotions out in the public. So, like, even if somebody did say something, I would never show my emotions out in public. When I was younger, I would come home, cry, or be mad, or punch the pillow, punch the wall, whatever like that. Like if I had to. But it's definitely been something that my parents have always told me about. The microscope's always going to be on me. The microscope is always going to be on me. It's always going to be. Everybody's always looking for a reason for you to slip up, for you to act out, for you to mess up one time. That's all they need. To prove them right, you only need one time to mess up. That's all they need. And it's always something my parents have instilled in me. And I've always taken it to this day. I've always been, how can I be my best behavior when I shouldn't have to be my best behavior? So that's a normal trait for me. But yeah, that's I probably say that.
I think it's something. I think it's something that's so overlooked is that like as a athletic, tall white man, I am very privileged. I'm about as privileged as it gets. and and one thing that I've learned from our boys, you, DB, Jay, all those guys, is that we can have empathy and we can sympathize, but we'll never know truly what it's like. And I remember, and it really hit me when I saw So obviously, I'm with the Red Sox. It's the team I represent. It's the team I want to represent. It's the team I grew up loving. But I remember seeing a story that Torrey Hunter released about the racism that he received in Boston, and it actually like broke my heart a little bit because I was like, this is the team that I grew up loving. This is the city that I want to represent, that I want to win rings for, all that stuff. And they're treating a guy that we grew up watching, a guy that we grew up loved watching, great ball player, great person, and treated him like that. And it was really hard. So I think it's just so important to know that, like, when it comes to those who are white out there, yes, we can always sympathize, but we'll never truly know what it's like. And I think it's really immature and not smart to feel like you think you know what it's like.
Right. No, for sure.
So, speaking of this insensitive behavior and stuff, what are some ways you think we could decrease it in our country? Do you feel we still have a long way to go?
The Christian in me always wants to be optimistic and prayerful and faithful. I'm always going to be faithful. I always know that and hopeful. I know God has a plan. I know He's going to bring us out of this, chaotic and confusing and backwards almost time. But we definitely have a long way to go. I mean, we're never going to get close to the mark. There's already been so much that's been done that you really can't unpair it. It's an everlasting legacy, sadly, that is going to be draped over. It's a veil that's going to be draped over this country until the end of time. Until the end of time. There's really nothing that can really be undone, repaired, or switched, because it's just something that has been so ingrained, so systematic, and so just learned that it's hard to undo something. But I do think that given the last two generations, I would say our generation, millennial generation, X, Y, and Z. It's X, Y, and Z, I guess. We are so diverse. We are so intelligent. We are so advanced, and we are light years beyond where our parents were and where the boomers were. We have so many different resources and abilities and opportunities to honestly learn and hear and educate ourselves about different cultures, different backgrounds, different people, different voices. Big thing I am now, obviously about to graduate school is, a lot of the things that I focus on is representation and, kind of just putting positive representation on screen. Mass media is such a big thing in our lives. Mass media, how can we, as I'm a black male, but how can you as a white male? It takes 2 minutes to look up a blog and see that 70% of black males are in jail right now. This is the fake stat, I'm saying off the top of my head. And when in reality, you can walk down the street right now. You can walk down the streets of the most dangerous cities in the world, Compton, Camden, whatever they may be, and find 100 people that don't look like you, but that are genuine people, that are smart, that are intelligent, that, just one opportunity to succeed. It really only takes a conversation.
Yeah.
And I told people that when we were in 2020 at the height of, racial tensions, it takes one conversation. It only takes conversations to really listen to people. Hear these people speak, hear their voices, hear their pain, hear their emotions, and don't just brush it off. Actually be okay, I'm really trying. I'm going to allow all my bias and all my previous thinking and all my previous teaching out the window. I'm just going to hear you. I'm just going to hear you, lend you an ear. That's really all it takes. And I think if more people were able to do that, put their ego, put their pride aside and just listen to people, I think we could definitely really move mountains, truly move mountains.
I really appreciate you saying that. I think it's a message that a lot of people need to hear, and I really hope they do. And you touched on 2020 a little bit, and I feel like that is definitely a time that's still kind of in the back of all of our heads. We all kind of had to go through, basically, we had to go through a lot during that. Yeah. I mean, I looked up the statistic. Listen to this: mental health related emergency room visits for children ages 12 through 17 increased by 31% during April through October of 2020. And I know that we always focus on how has COVID affected people health wise and how we're all Like, are we safe out here? All of that stuff. I understand that. But I think that people overlook mental health so much, especially in this day and age, so much. In a day that we're always looking at screens and stuff like that, we need to focus like on our minds, in my opinion. And I want to know what does mental health mean to you?
Man, it's a great question, because for the longest time, I always felt that, mental health was like this, not like a facade, but kind of like this like word and phrase that everybody threw around. Mm-hmm. And then I started dealing with my own bouts of mental health and kind of went through my own struggles, and really trying to come to terms with how I'm feeling and how my emotions were, and how kind of all over the place. I really didn't have one like strategic linear path of my emotions, how they all were kind of, I'm grasping at straws at the point, my emotions. It's real. It's really real. Like obviously I take a lot of pride in it now, and, being mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, well and wellness, really trying to kind of like encompassing every single aspect of your life and experiences and, day-to-day life. And how can you continue to move on and learn and grow each day, as well as, it's kind of just setting goals for yourself and setting, parameters for yourself and barriers for yourself. Like, okay, I won't allow myself to go down this certain path. What can I put in place, whether it's, reading a book, exercising, whether it's listening to my podcast, whether it's praying, whether it's, going to church, whether it's, watching my favorite movie, finding ways to cope with keeping yourself, one, positive, keeping yourself entertained, keeping yourself occupied. COVID was a really dark, very, very dark time for everybody. I mean, I think everybody experienced loss, tragedy, anxiety, depression, fear. Yeah. Like everybody kind of had their own personal bouts with that. And, I think mental health right now in the world needs to be prioritized, because, it really takes so many different triggers, so many little things that can really affect your day-to-day life. And you wouldn't even realize it until it's already too late.
Absolutely. And you touched on this a little bit, but has there ever been times, and you don't have to go deep into it at all, but has there ever been times that you were struggling, and what helped you push through those times, or helped you get out of those times, if there were certain ones?
What's crazy you say this, because I told somebody the other day, I said it jokingly, but I really meant it. I said, COVID saved my life. 2019 was probably the hardest year personally for me. I was leaving Rutgers, got out of a bad relationship, which was with my best friend. She was my best friend for like 3 years, and then we dated for a very little time, and I got out of that relationship, which was really unhealthy, and then left Rutgers. I wasn't playing baseball. I went through a lot with my coaches, a lot of emotional abuse with my coaches. Nothing was going right. Every time I looked up, it felt like something else was crashing down. I was depressed. I came home. I transferred home. I was definitely depressed, and I told my parents about this. I told my close friends about this. I was very depressed. I didn't know what to do. Like, I was really sitting there in my room a lot of nights, just questioning and crying and thinking, and just like overthinking and just thinking, like asking God, like what did I do to deserve this? Why me? Why me? Kind of just like doubting myself and kind of doubting the Lord's plan for me. And that was 2019 summer. And then, really kind of just got back into my faith. COVID kind of made me get back into my faith. I was locked inside my house, as everybody else was, for, months on end. I was only able to go to church, the grocery store, and that was it. Church and grocery store for about 8 months. Me and my dad's a pastor. Anybody to know? Me and my dad went to the church every Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. So most people think you only go to church one day a week on Sunday. No, we were in there. It felt like every day for hours on end. Praying, finding ways to obviously stream services, but. COVID really allowed me to get back closer to God, praying every day, started reading the Bible again, really kind of just talking to him, having a conversation with him. That's really all it is, having a conversation with him, just expressing myself and, expressing how sorry I was and I doubted him. And then, things really started just to look up.
That's awesome.
I got to work for the first time. I found what school I was going to go to.
Yeah.
I put down baseball, which was the toughest season ever for me, but
Yeah.
I was able to, find it in a new way, in perfect game. Find it in a new way, and going to school, or then find my true passion in, obviously digital media production, editing videos, being broadcast journalist, stuff like that. Like it was an upward for me, but at the same time, I still have doubts where I struggle, and I'm like, wow, like how do I find myself? In reality, I really think about it this way, like, God would not put me in any situation that I wouldn't be able to get out of. He would not He would not lead me in any harm's way, any danger, any false narrative if he knew that I wasn't going to make it on the other side of the end. Jeremiah 29:11 always says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you." And I believe that 100% through and through. Obviously I have my best friends with me, I have my brother with me. Obviously Chooch, one of my best friends, but I was able to, lean on my boys tremendously. I'll never forget New Year's night. I was in a room. It was me, Meek, and C. We were out, having a good time, and I brought them into the room. I started boohoo crying, bawling my eyes out at midnight. Do you think everybody's at midnight getting drunk, and, with their girls? I was in a room crying my eyes out with my two of my best friends, and I was able to really lean on them in that moment. But for that year whole, they really held me up. They really held me down. My parents, they were just prayer warriors for me, and just everything I needed, they were there for me. But, honestly, relying on the people closest to you can really get you out of dark places.
Absolutely.
Really bring you out of dark places, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. And for those who are listening, I hope you listen to that with like great intent, because everyone has their shit. And I will say that till the day I die. We all go through something, and we all have those dark moments. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in God. And if that's not your way of life, but you have to believe in yourself and the people around you that will help you get out of it. We all go through these hard times, but it's that's what shapes us. That's what makes us into the person that we are. I mean, Adam, as well as I do, we were just talking about faith. Adam, for those of you that don't know, like he said, his dad is the pastor at our church, and Adam introduced me to that church when I was at my lowest point, and it saved me in a way as well. So for those of you out there, understand that we all go through our things. Check in on your friends, check in on those around you. It's October. This is Suicide Prevention Month. Always check in on those you love, and even the ones that you haven't talked to in a while. Like it's you never know when you could be saving a life.
That's real.
So getting into faith a little bit. When did your enthusiasm for church start? I know you grew up going there and all, but like we're in church every Sunday, and we hear those kids running around and stuff like that. But when did you really start getting deep within it? And were there ever times where you actually struggled with your commitment to God?
I would never say, I'm a two-part this. Never would say my struggle to God was in question or was ever faltering. But when you don't do the other things, it automatically they kind of connect. They kind of coexist. When you're not going to church, you're not Bible study, you're not praying, you're not reading your Bible, you really aren't committed to God. You are not putting all your faith in God. I will say that right now. But like I said, I grew up in the church. Grew up in a family of pastors, a family of churchgoers. But I committed myself to the Lord and got baptized and officially joined my church when I was 9 years old. We were going to church on a Sunday, and I asked my mom, I said, "Mom, why does everybody get to drink the juice and eat the cracker?" And she obviously explained, the symbolism for, the God's body, the juice represents God's blood He shed for us. And I obviously really didn't know how much that meant, but I remember that it was something that they were so deeply rooted in, and seeing the life they were living at a very young age, I said, I want to have a life, and clearly if that's the way they're going to go, that's the way I need to go. I need to go into that direction. If they're living this prosperous and very happy life, that I want to live that as well. And by the time I hit, I would say probably high school, I really started cementing myself into everything. I was able to understand it. I was able to understand scriptures. I was able to understand sermons. I was able to understand Bible studies. I was able to actually realize what was being said and how I can apply it to my life. I was a very advanced, smart kid at a young age, but the Bible is something that's very tricky, even as grown people find hard to, find parts. But I was probably 14 was when I really started, I was like, wow, this is really real. This is hitting me. It's really getting into my inner matrix. Wow, all these scriptures are talking directly to me, to my situation. And I got to college. I kind of steered away a little bit back second semester of freshman year. My boy Carmen Stefani, actually, he's our third baseman at Rutgers, brought me to AIA, Athletes in Action. It was a Christian group that's at almost all universities in the country, but a bunch of athletes would join every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. and basically have a Bible study. And I got back into that, and that kind of just gave me some life, gave me some juice back into my life that I needed. And then obviously the pandemic, just sent it up another notch. But now I'm at the point now where, every day I'm just thankful that, God has so much mercy on me and all of my family and all my friends and everybody in the world that, we're able to live every day, live out my dreams, the best of capability, try to be as obedient to them as possible. And, like I said, I told you the two things I identify most are being a black man and being a Christian. So, obviously two things I keep near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what would you say to those? I mean, I was one of them, obviously. You helped me that way. But what would you say to those that are kind of on the fence about their religion, on the fence about Christianity, about their faith in God and all that?
I told you this. I'm not a recruiter. I'm not a what's the word they say? I forget the word. I'm not a showman. I'm not flaunting the Bible, flaunting scriptures at you. You know me. I never did that to you, not once. I just tell people, hey, it's not for everybody. It is not for everybody. My faith said, we're all children of God. We're all brothers and sisters at some point. We're all brothers and sisters. And, I believe at some point, you may walk down that life, walk down that path, accept God as your Lord and Savior. But I'm not going to sit here and, flaunt all these Bible verses and try to track you down and run to your front door and put a Jesus loves you sticker on your. No, it's not what I'm going to do. If you feel called, if you feel as though you want direction in your life, whatever that may be, there's obviously multiple forms of religion, any religion, and some people who are, aren't spiritual, who don't identify as that, they believe in a higher something. I always feel like, you got to believe in something higher than you.
Yeah.
Higher than you.
Absolutely.
Controlling, it's something that is dictating and influencing everything around you. It's not just you. So, I tell people that all the time, but hey, everybody to each is their own. You do what you want to do. I'll be over here with my people, and I'm gonna love you the same. If you want to come over here, hey, we're open arms. Open arms.
I love that. Now, we talked about how you were very about your faith really became important during that 2020 COVID, all of that. But one thing I know we've talked about that I would like to include is also how passionate you became with working out during that time. Ooh. I mean, for those listening, this man was up at 7:30 running this morning. He sends me a Snapchat. He's like, I'm getting my work in. Are you getting your work in? I'm like, of course I'm getting my work in.
Come on.
Anyway, what made you get into working out so much? I mean, my man Adam, he doesn't take a day off now.
Well, obviously being an athlete was always, it kind of forced me to work out.
Yeah.
When I got to the age where I enjoyed working out and knew what working out was, I loved it. But you're going to laugh at this. I have I might get canceled for this. I don't know. I have an absolute fear of getting fat. Like, you can ask any one of my friends, anybody will tell you, my brother will tell you, my parents will tell you, I have a legitimate fear.
I am the same exact way, bro.
And honestly, that comes with my own personal body dysmorphia, which I've been working out, been trying to, really get past that. That's a legitimate thing, body dysmorphia. Anybody suffering with that, I just I feel you. I really do feel you. But honestly, that's really, at the end of the day, I always feel like you can be better. You can always be better yourself, I got to the point over COVID where I caught myself, overdoing it a couple times where I, pull back. But I mean, man, I could only go to the grocery store and church. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna order a bunch of stuff. I built an in-home gym in my basement. Me and my dad built an in-home gym. Ordered a bunch of dumbbells, a bench, got a punching bag. Ordered new running sneakers. I mean, every day that was my escape. It was my escape from, I woke up at 8 a.m. every day, worked out. I did schoolwork for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. Did church stuff. Yeah. Then I went on Zoom with my friends. So I was like, I gotta find an escape to and then obviously it became to a point where I was like, I feel so good waking up every morning. I feel so healthy. I feel so jazzed.
You become obsessed.
Yeah. And then I was like, now
it's because of addiction.
And I was like, I enjoy working out now more than I did when I was playing sports. Mm-hmm. Like now now I'm just like, it's a part of my daily routine.
Yeah, it's a competition with yourself. Yeah. And that's what I don't think people understand that is because when you're an athlete and you grow up competing, you become addicted to that competing, you become addicted to winning. And when we get past that and we start to become adults, I think people fail to realize you can still have that competitive edge. It's just not with others. It's just with yourself in the gym. Beat yourself every day. Get better every day. Say, whoever I was a week ago, I'm better than that person. And
it's a day-to-day competition, man.
For sure.
I always feel as though the next day I'm better than the next day. Like next day I'm better than yesterday. I'm better than yesterday. Yeah. And obviously having friends and honestly, Chooch, you definitely inspire me, man. Not trying to gas you up because I'll bring you down with the rest of them. But honestly, I have a lot of friends that really inspire me. My man Chooch right here. He's a gifted and dedicated young man with a plan and a goal in mind, and nothing's going to deter him off that goal. So I always thought that I was the biggest competitor with all my friends. So I will tell Chooch, and Chooch will know. Chooch will work out, and I will say I will work out harder than you. I will burn more calories than you. Chooch will be like, oh yeah, I did this. I'm like, okay, bet. I will do. You ran 2 miles. Okay, bet. I will run 3 just because. It's obviously like that. But at the same time, people having people that motivate you to want to be better. Yeah. And want to do better. That always helps as well. So.
That's actually what I was about to touch on after this. It's Adam's in the gym. I got to go get in the gym. But so in addition to that, we all have days where we wake up and we're like, I'm feeling bad today. What keeps you going on days where you are not feeling hot?
Man, that's a great question. Honestly, part of that really is I watch a lot of sports. I watch a lot of great athletes. And obviously, I mentioned it very early in the episode. LeBron James is my favorite athlete of all time. Mm-hmm. And people are going to be like, oh, my God, bro, you're dick eating. I don't care. But, LeBron is about to be 38 in December. And, he came into the league at 18 years old. And he's been the best player for roughly, 17 years that he's been in the league. It takes it's going to take some sacrifice and take some late nights and early mornings and achy days and some sick days to get to a level that no one can question your work ethic and no one can question, are you really working? Mm-hmm. I remember when I went to Penn Charter and I left all my friends. And it's funny, I'm actually in Taryn's basement right now, so Taryn could tell you the story if you ever ask him. But I left Penn Charter. I left Mullen, went to Penn Charter. I came back sophomore year. Nobody didn't see me for a year and a half. Mind you, when I was in middle school, I didn't lift the weight. All I did was just run and play basketball every day. I came back, got to lifting weights, and everyone was like, oh, my God, bro, you got big. You got huge. You're like a monster. And, I was like, from that point on, I was obviously, that kind of struck with, how people view me. Mm-hmm. So I always felt as though, if I don't wake up and work out or I not take a day off where, it's not my scheduled day off, and somebody sees me, either being lazy or nonchalant or relaxing, that's going to just set me off where I'm like, oh, nah, you just saw me, at my lowest, nah, I gotta turn it up real quick.
Yeah.
Honestly, more so that's really just me just creating false scenarios in my head. But, in reality, I just feel as though, every day I can always do something to get better.
It's definitely a thing. If I have a day where I don't work out, I feel
I feel terrible.
Crappy.
I feel terrible, bro.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm sluggish.
Yeah, you don't feel the same.
I had a gut right now. What's going on? Come on, dude. I'm 23. I got 15 more years for the gut sets in.
Yeah. That's great, man.
Right.
So you mentioned that I mean, obviously you were a great basketball player growing up as well. I think one thing that also is kind of making the next generation a little soft that we talked about is they're focusing on one sport way too early. Like you wanna be an athlete for as long as possible, play as many sports you can for as long as possible. So, like, when do you believe it's appropriate for kids to start focusing on one sport? And do you think it benefited you playing multiple sports throughout your career?
It definitely benefited me for sure. I still kick myself now for not playing my sophomore year of high school, not playing basketball sophomore year of high school. But
Yeah.
I mean, I tell play as many sports as possible. And you use every single muscle, every single brainwave wavelength of your brain to play every single sport. Like you're only sharpening every single other tool, muscle, ligament that you're using in
Yeah.
another sport that you would use in your main sport.
Absolutely.
I played every sport I could until I wasn't able to. And I tell kids now, play until you are not able to. Obviously, certain situations call for it. If you're a star quarterback and you're going to go to a top tier Division I school, there is no need for you to play basketball, baseball, track when you're a junior in high school. Like hey, if you want to play because you love it, good. Like coaches love that. Like I would play basketball and baseball as long as I could until I literally was given a choice not to. But obviously, I don't think anybody needs to pigeonhole themselves or just lock in on one thing, especially at a very young age. I mean, there's
For sure, man. Like, and that's the thing is like some kids will be locked in on like like people don't realize like playing multiple sports makes you so athletic. It helps you like playing basketball. It like helps you with those movements, with more lateral movements, all that stuff. And when you're able to like be an athlete and then build muscle on top of that, instead of just building muscle and not being able to move it quickly,
flexibility, no mobility.
Yeah, it's a complete game changer.
No, 100%. And you're like, it's funny you say because I remember when you were swimming in high school. And like, mind you, Brennan's like an elite level swimmer, guys. Like, don't let him fool you. Like, he's a very good swimmer. But Brendan would swim and like would come back off of like swim season, like just chiseled, like chest all aki, arms, shoulders all beefed up. And I'm like, dude, like you were just swimming for 3 months. Like, you don't lift? Like, what are you talking about? Like, why? Like Michael Phelps come out the pool ready to go pitch. And it's just like, I tell kids now, and I think about it now. I'm like, dude, I play as many sports as possible. Coaches that love multi-sport athletes. I mean, unless you're like a Archie Manning and like, even though I know Archie Manning, I think plays multiple sports, but like, it gets to a certain point in time where obviously you need to one thing about your future. If you're going to go down to one sport, at the same time you think about your health. Like you don't want to be a star basketball player playing football. You might damage something above the shoulders. It's not. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, if you're a baseball player, like we might not want you playing. Who even knows what it is? Hurt your arm, something like that. Like that. Like, if you're a soccer player, like we protect your feet. Like, all right, like there's no need for you to be out here trying to like do whatever. So I get it, but play as many sports as long as possible. I mean, when you hit your junior, senior year, when you maybe if you commit to a school, and you're like rooted on one thing, hey, expend all your effort into that. Like like I know Reese was a swim prodigy from his early days. Like he knew swimming was his ticket. At the same time, he didn't like stop himself from doing anything else. He put 98% of his energy into swimming, with 2% into, hey, I might just do yoga or whatever, do something else where like I could, like maximize that for swimming. Like you can always use another sport to maximize your main sport. I use basketball to maximize baseball. Vice versa. So yeah.
Well, as we're wrapping up, I want to play one quick game. We each get 3 picks. I'm going to let you go first. It's called the Iconic Jersey Draft. And what it is that there's a combination of jerseys in the history of sports that have both an elite level of design to the jersey and also an iconic player who wore it. So I'm going to let Adam go first. What's your first iconic jersey?
First iconic jersey? Wow. Mind you, Brent sent me all these questions pre-hand. I didn't read not one of them. I probably should have.
This man asked for an outline and doesn't even read the outline.
Yeah, that's on me. I'm not going to lie. Number one overall pick is probably going to have to go with a Ken Griffey teal Mariners jersey.
Ooh.
That's nobody. No one stopped. No one stopped.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing Ken Griffey wore that was better than that was the sleeveless jersey for the All-Star. Like Ken Griffey is easily the swaggiest baseball player of all time, and the swaggiest baseball player of all time in a jersey like that is undefeated. Now, for my first pick, I'm gonna switch it up and go to basketball. I'm gonna go to Vince Carter in the purple Raptors jersey with the Velociraptor on it. Oh, crazy! That thing was cold.
Crazy. I have the Tracy McGrady same Raptors jersey, but number one jersey, Tracy McGrady one. That one.
I know you let me wear it that one time.
That thing is absolutely mad. That thing is crazy. All right. Number two overall pick. Number two overall pick. I'll probably have to go with a classic. I'm gonna go basketball as well. I'm gonna go AI black number 3 jersey, Philly jersey. Just that's sick. That's sickening. I'm gonna throw up right now thinking about it.
I don't know why they ever got rid of those jerseys.
Bring them back.
We wear rainbow on the side jerseys. We don't need the black.
We don't need any of that, yo. My number 2 pick, the AI black jersey number 3. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna throw it way back now. Now we wear these throwback jerseys now, but our birds, baby. Philadelphia Eagles. Gotta love the Philadelphia Eagles, but the old Kelly green jerseys sported by one of the best quarterbacks we've ever had, Randall Cunningham. Cunningham, Kelly green jersey. So tough.
That's hard, Chooch. That's hard. That's gas. I have my last pick right now.
Yeah, your last pick.
Last pick right now. I really probably should get into like soccer and hockey because I know they got some fire jerseys. Like I know Ronaldo has like a fire jersey somewhere out there.
Bro, they have so many too. Like, and
they're like 20 jerseys. They're like 20 jerseys. I'm like, bro, that's crazy.
You're wearing a different jersey every time you turn on the TV.
Like literally. I think I would have to go. I'm gonna stick to what I know. I went what? Basketball. I went baseball. I could throw back to football, but you already took the birds one, so I don't need. I'm after birds. I think I might keep it. I might keep it in basketball because there was a lot of jerseys that I really did like bang with, or baseball. But then again, there's so many like traditional baseball ones that I really love. I mean, I feel as those that the most. You know what? I'm gonna keep it traditional right here because if you say no, it tells me a lot about you. Okay. I'm gonna go classic Brooklyn Dodgers Jackie Robinson 42 jersey.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta
culture. For the culture.
Yeah, you know that's that's a jersey that I would love to have in my house framed. That would definitely a jersey I see having in my house for sure.
I love that. All right, now I'm stuck because you brought up soccer, and I'm really thinking about that Messi the Messi jersey that they wore for not for any of his club teams, but for Argentina, with the baby blue stripes. Those ones were tough, but I gotta stick to our Philly roots here. I'm gonna go with the classic Mike Schmidt. Baby blue.
I knew you were going to say the baby blue.
Baby blue. The baby blue 1980 Phillies that won the World Series.
Those are the best jerseys probably to ever grace like anything. Those are the best jerseys.
So cool. And now you see the throwbacks that Bryce Harper wears with his little tweeners and stuff.
I ain't gonna lie, like who made that jersey pop for me was Andrew McCutcheon. Like, yo, when Cutch had that thing on, boy.
Yeah, when he had the little red Solo cup and the chain.
That was.
Man didn't have a worry in the world.
Nah, I would definitely say like probably a honorable mention would easily probably be like a Magic Johnson Lake Show jersey. Like, I feel like Magic was just bigger than basketball. Either a Magic Johnson or, I mean, I'm not gonna say his name, but maybe a Bulls 23 jersey. But yeah, but other than, I mean, that probably would be like a Bulls red 23 jersey.
If anybody wants to debate Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, you can give Adam a call anytime. He will talk your ear off
anytime,
and probably end up beating you. So
I will. I will win. That's for sure.
Yeah, you will win. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. I want to thank Adam. This has been an awesome first episode. For those that are out there listening, thank you for tuning in. Adam, thank you for coming on. This was a pleasure, and I appreciate you greatly.
Man, thank you for having me, bro. Definitely enjoyed myself. I mean, we got to talk about literally everything. But, for everybody listening out there, yo, please tune in every single week. I know this man's going to have wonderful guests, wonderful questions, wonderful topics being talked about, real life topics being talked about. And, this kid, Brandon Chalucci, man, he has a lot going for him. He has a great future ahead of him. So, guys, give him a listen. Thank you again for having me, bro. Man, appreciate it, man. All love.
You're the man. And for those listening, remember, October, Suicide Prevention Month. You matter. You are important in this world. And there are many people out there that care about you. And the same goes for those around you. Check in on your loved ones. And thank you all for listening. Have a good one.
Have a good night, man.